I feel like that would have been a better take anyways. All right, cool. Got lucky on that solo. Sometimes you get lucky and you get a good one. You know what I mean? Can't always control it. Sometimes you get unlucky and you have digital crap everywhere. I'm going to close my laptop right there. Welcome to the Woodshed on a Tuesday, as we tend to do. I'm just moving some windows around so I can see the chat. I'm going to close that right there. And yeah, it looks like we got all the things going. So I know you guys have been really digging the signature guitars. And I know that because I can see how many we're selling. And between the anniversary guitars and this, it has just been really amazing to see how much you guys like these instruments. A good trusted source made a comment. He said he's kind of a shred guy, and he said, "Man, you made a telly for guys that don't like tellies." And I was like, I kind of did, you know. So with that said, let's give you one. Let's give you one for free 99. Okay, are you ready? It's partnered up with my friends at D'Addario. It's pronounced D'Addario, I think, right? So those guys, those are my people over there. They make a string that can withstand my pH and sweat. So go over to their page and check it out. The link to get all the goodies is there. Now, of course, you'll also be entered to win the Suhr, but you'll be getting the entered to win all of the other accoutrements that they offer. So like strings, and they make a bunch of really cool accessories that I use. Now, I know everybody makes a lot of accessories, but they have a nice division of Planet Waves, and you know, their company, they make some really nice bags that like hold, you know, your modelers or your extra pedals and stuff like that. So they are giving away, teamed up to give away a whiskey barrel. It's on there, and I'm really excited about this because it's not very often that we can give away an instrument like this, and I think it's just really cool. So with that said, I texted the link to my man Chuck. Chuck is in the house. Chuck, I don't know if it will work, but if you can put it in the chat, we will. And if not, and you're viewing this video at a later date, I will put the link in the description of the video, and we'll make that a thing so you guys can get over there. I would rather you hang out with me right now and then go enter to get in the guitar contest maybe after the show. But if you've got to jump out or open a second window, I totally understand. I get that. That's a thing, right? So Tyler is saying, I'm totally clicking that link as soon as I see it. Yeah, Chuck has got it right there. Do you see it in the chat? He's hooking it up. Okay, now on to the other side of the coin. I have changed my camera. That's this one right here. Look at that one. Normally that's on the old picking hands, so you can see some picking. But now it is on this new board, at least somewhat of a decent angle to get you. This is my largest board. I have 3 boards, and I'm going to do a comparison of all 3, ranging from the smallest, that's just a VP4 and a gearbox and a woodshed compressor and a belt, to my medium board, which is what I usually take on the Gary LaVox and any flying stuff, because it sits right at 47 pounds. And you guys that travel, you know, you've got to have it under 50 pounds. So in the flight case, the medium board is right there at the limit. Now, the large board is the one that I can put on a semi truck, or take it, you know, on those kind of environments where, you know, you've got the mega rig and the stereo. And we're going to talk about how I've been running stereo lately as well. So now, where to start is the question. Let's start with this. I like a clean amp, and you're going to see my Crocs. I have some bright green Crocs on for house shoes. Look at that bad Larry right there. So I got some green Crocs. If you guys want to comment on that, I'm sure you will. But basically, I start with a clean amp, and let's turn off some items. Let's turn off the comp. Let's turn off the EQ. This is what the Suhr SL68 sounds like. It's kind of dark and chewy. And then on the back pickup, You know, it's a lot more output on that black back pickup, right? Here's the neck pickup, and then here's the split. I like that split a lot. I like that sound. And I use it for really nice for that. Neck humbucker sounds like neck humbucker, and the back pickup sounds like back pickup. I've got a split where I can series parallel this thing. This is all of it. Right, sounds like, you know, and then series parallel. Right, all that kind of stuff. Now, the next couple of items I add in will be the compressor and the EQ. So here's without the compressor. Now I'm going to turn the compressor on. It just kind of makes everything I'm doing sound a little more mixed. It just sounds more nice. Here's without it. It just kind of glues things together in a nice way that I really like. And you know, all the little transients seem to be nice. And because I set the amp so dark, I set it like that so the dirt pedals sound nice. And then I actually add a little EQ to sparkle up that clean channel. It sounds like this now. Which is really nice, right? That's actually kind of really nice. And just some little top end in there, it just makes things sound kind of good. It's like an upper mid-range. It's an XTS EQ that they mod from Boss. Really nice. So you can tell that fundamental tone is starting to take shape. Now, one of the things that somebody wanted to know about, I actually posted on Instagram before I got started today. I said I was going to talk about this new board. And somebody said, Andy, will you take some time to talk about how you're using the Reload 2? And that's been new to my rig as a stereo split. There's a couple of things that I want to hit right now as far as the difference between live and in the studio. In the studio, I have the opportunity to mess with mic placements or cabinets or whatever, and nothing's really going to get moved. If we set up a 412 and put a 121 or a 57 on it, where I put it is where it's going to stay. You could track all month, and as long as you don't move it, it's not going to move. Okay, now live, gosh, you know, if you just move a microphone like that much, like this, it's like night and day. So common sense says if you're on in-ears or you're really obsessed with what you're sending to front of house, as I tend to be, you make peace with the fact that if you're using microphones live on your cabinets, that it's never going to be the same. Look, you guys are gigging out. You ever notice how some nights it sounds great, some nights it doesn't? It's probably mic placement, right? So I wanted to eliminate that variable that swings so drastically. I wanted to eliminate that variable from my live playing, whether that be with like Gary and the Flats type stuff where we're on in-ears with mega production, or even at clinics. I want to be able to control what I'm sending to front of house, and they just roll the faders up. They're like, baby, that's it, let's go. Now, you can do that if you use a fractal or something like that, but now you've lost a tube amp and a cabinet and some of those nice organic things that I think I personally love. There's workarounds. I actually am going to try out some of those Laney cabinets that are the FRFRs because they're small. They make like a 10 or a 12 or something. I thought I might need to try that out for the channel. But in general, I like a big monster amp clean, and I like a big cabinet. You know, a 212 or a 412 where it's like closed back and it feels good. And if volume's a problem, I have some of those Joe Bonamassa style plexi shields, and I'll put that shield up, and my front of house guys happy. I'm kind of always working with front of house, whoever that may be. Now I want to be self-contained, and I'm spending a lot of time talking about this before we get to the board, because the board will make sense better if we establish that. So my workaround has been to use hybrid rigs where I use maybe a tube amp, whether that just be a little combo or a big half stack or full stack or something, with something like a Suhr reactive load or a UA aux. I really like, you guys know I like the aux. That's what I'm sending you guys through the internet right now. I'm sending the UA aux. So with the aux and the reactive loads, they're kind of all in one units. Now there's a downfall to both units in that they don't have effects loops that are stereo. So recently, Two Notes had put out a product. I'm not going to call it, I'm going to say it's a product that is basically two clean power amps that are side by side. It's called the Reload 2. It's two clean power amps, and it has a stereo effects loop, and it's got line outs and all that kind of stuff. So basically this hybrid rig now can run stereo, and I'm running out of my tube head into the Reload 2. So the signal chain goes from the guitar to the input of the pedal board, and the input of the pedal board has all of your obvious things: your compressor, your wah, fuzz, overdrives, phase 90 for you Van Halen fanatics like myself. I don't even use a phaser, but like, I'm not going to have a board and not have a Van Halen pedal on there, right? Like Eddie is king, right? So I have the front end of the board then go to the front input of the amp, whatever amp I'm using. And then the amp will come out of the speaker out into the Reload 2. And the Reload 2 will send the cabinet to the cabinets. Now, what I will do is use the send and return on the loop with the board, so I can now send all of my post effects. We're talking the VP4, the Halo, and the Blue Sky. All of that stuff can be post now. And now I have all that stuff swimming around left and right, and it feels really good. Like today, because I'm using the aux, you're getting a mono signal. But in general, it would be a stereo signal with a nice left and right spread, just sounding like IMAX, Okay, now to address the microphone scenario, what I like to do is send the line outs. The Reload 2 doesn't have IRs in it. It doesn't have any cabinet simulation. And that's an important term here, because you got to remember, we've come from the head and we haven't emulated a cabinet yet. So the Universal Audio guys make the aux stomp that is not an attenuator in any way. It can only receive line level input, right? And I use into that, and that goes to front of house. So everything is the same all the time, anywhere I play. It's great. Like I did it up in Ohio, and it was just killer. It was killer. All my guys, you got to understand, with the flats, Gary / both, the team overlaps. There's a lot of guys in the flats and a lot of guys in the Gary solo stuff. There's a lot of, double dipping. From employment standpoint, you're talking your monitor guys, this kind of production side. A lot of those guys have been in the game for decades, and they're cynical. And it was always fun when you see people perk up a little bit, and you see, they roll up the faders in the ears, and people go, "Oh, that's not what we're going to keep it like that, right? Like that's how we're going to do business from here on out, right?" And so that's what we had going on. It was really great. So now the board, let's talk about what all's on it. And this is obviously the biggest board, and the biggest thing that you can see, like right out of frame over here, you see that, is the controllers. That's the most amount of stuff on the board. And wah, volume, and expression pedal, that just eats up like this much footprint. Like that's basically a pedal board. Once you put 3 controllers on, you basically have a pedal board. Now the next 2 biggest items are the Fractal VP4 up in the top right quadrant, and then the gig rig down here in the bottom left quadrant. And I've got these new the new lighting This is the brand new faceplate, which I think is so sick because if you play a dark stage and you've just got tape on your settings, you can't see that. But with these lights, you can see it nice, and I really think that's nice. So basically the board is kind of cut in half as far as the way to think about it. The controller down here, the gig rig, this big guy right here, he doesn't really do anything except patch. He's a patch bay. So if I've got a fuzz that's temperamental, but when it's on, I want to hear it, I just bring in that loop, right? And now people are going to say stupid things in the comments. I'm prepared for it. I think the general public is pretty smart, pretty dang smart. I think the general median line is pretty smart. However, there's always one or two just complete dinguses that will say they can hear, you know, the digital quality of the looper or something just outlandishly stupid. You know what I mean? If you can hear that, tell me you can hear it in Steve Lukather and Andy Timmons as well, because I think that's one of these stupid people things. So, you know, most of you guys, 99.9% of you guys are going to totally get what I'm doing and why I'm doing it this way, because I want to preserve the sound. Like, for instance, this little G&I fuzz, he's awesome. He really sounds killer. But if he's not engaged, as in if the pedal's off, but you're still going through it, you can hear that color the sound. So I would rather have the loop, you know, just have it on a loop by itself, and the controller go, you know, you're going out into the fuzz and then back to the controller, and then go, hey, I don't want to hear that fuzz at all. So he just pulls that out. Now I'm not even going through that chain. I'm not going through that cable or anything. That's the preservation of core fundamental sound that I'm kind of after here. So with that said, I've got just a bunch of flavors of overdrive and distortion, and that's, you know, ranging from least to gargantuan. And then I've got two time-based effects that could actually be done within the fractal, but the fractal has four blocks. It's like having four pedals. And instead of chewing up two of those pedals with a delay and a reverb, I'd rather just use the Keeley Halo to be my delay. And then my reverb is just kind of a gag effect that I play into the reverb as its own thing. So let's just walk through some core things. Item number one is a volume pedal that I really like. It's this new A3 volume pedal. Killer. I think they're made in Korea and they sound awesome. They don't affect the tone. They keep the low end true. They keep the top end nice and true. I got these from Guitar Sanctuary. So if you're interested in the A3 pedal, that's a Guitar Sanctuary. That's my guys over there that hooked me up. Tell Brian A. Wood sent you. So the next thing is the Jerry Cantrell wah. And again, he's on his own loop. So I just engage that loop. Turn it on. So I would just engage that. So the wah is not right. I would just go over here and turn him on. And then I can, you know, because I don't want the signal always passing through the wah. I just want the wah when I want it. Now, we've got on the controller, basically the top row is just goodies. Things that I can bring in and out. The wah, the fuzz, things that are going to make things fun. Phaser, like the Phase 90, right? Tuner, stuff like that. Now, across the bottom is a set of presets that I use. And these presets are basically, I use the same time-based delays all the time. The Halo and the Blue Sky. And if you notice this controller all the way over here at the end is one of the fractal controllers. I like it because it's notched. I can feel it start and stop on each knot. It's got a nice sweep to it. And I'm just rolling in the delays now. Right, isn't that nice? And then it's dry. You know, it's really, let me get on one a little bit. Woo! I love it. So that sounds really, really good to me. And I might even add a little bit of top end. And that's really just preset number 1 in the Halo. And that is, the mix is the only thing that I'm controlling in the Halo, just how much delay. I'm not controlling the time. I'm not controlling how many delays. I'm controlling just how much. Now that's global, right? You know? Nice. I love it. And then, of course, I can pull it out. Now, preset number 1 is just crystal clean. And you'll notice that via MIDI, the VP4 jumps its programs. Like, look at the VP4 up here in the top left quadrant. He's changing his mind just every time I step on that controller. And you'll have to look in the camera, the other camera, right? So the VP4 is up here. I don't know if you can actually see it. Yeah, there's a better shot right there. It's all the way up here. So as I changed from my dirt patches to my clean patches, it's gonna change stuff too. Basically, every preset on the gig rig, each button that goes from clean, crunch, more, most, you're going to get fired because there's too much gain on the tone. That's basically my settings, right? It's like clean, more, crunch, lead. Don't use this one because you're going to go to jail, right? Each one of those has 4 independent things that you might want. Like, for instance, on the clean one, I might want some pitch shift. And I use pitch shift instead of chorus. I think pitch shift just sounds a little bit nicer than chorus. It doesn't sound as 80s. Now, also, something else I might want would be a tremolo if I'm tracking a session, right? Ooh, that sounds good. I love a tremolo for parts like that. Now, I might also want a rotary, which is over here. And I think that's a really good sounding rotary. It sounds nice and real. You know, let's just get that delay going. Okay, so the last block in every single one of my VP4 patches is nothing but a 3.5 decibel boost. That way, if I'm playing rhythm here, you know, I'll just step on that boost. You know. not boosting the front of it. It's just bringing everything louder. So I can have clean, and then I can have clean if I'm going to play lead. And it's the same sound, just louder. Now, next up is the More patch. This patch combines the compressor, the Andy Timmons AT mod, which is basically a blues driver. If you just have a Boss blues driver, you can get close. And then a XTS EQ. This is really great. That's that thing right there. One of my most used tones, right? Yeah, it's good. It's really good sounding. And then the next sound is the sound that you guys heard at the top that I was using on Junktown. That is the Pantheon, which is a nice crunch, king of tone kind of thing. But I stacked that with the compressor. Get that kind of sound. Yeah, sounds good for that. All of those little harmonics kind of pop out nice, right? You know, what was the... Right, sounds good for that thing. And then, of course, I can bring in the Phase 9. Really great. Phase 90 does what Phase 90 does, right? And I just can bring that in a la carte. Sorry, you can hear my strap lock squeaking. That's what that is. Then the fuzz is something that sounds really good. I used it all over the new record. Really nice for that. So that's the crunch sound. And then on this patch, the crunch patch has some nice things. I've got like a Van Hagar era kind of pitch shift. It sounds more appropriate when it's stereo. When it's mono, they collapse. Doesn't sound as accurate. But I built this one that's kind of fun. So you guys know I've got the tune Master Gracie's Manor. I wanted a really cool way to play the actual theme from the Haunted Mansion. I'm going to take a little Mountain Dew break. I shouldn't drink these, but I do. So if you've ever ridden the Haunted Mansion in Anaheim or in Orlando, there's a theme that's played throughout it when he's Welcome Foolish Mortals. And the theme, I don't remember what key it's in. I'm going to play it in G right now. The amp is a Suhr SL68. But this rig works with Lone Stars really well too, or Suhr Bellas or anything like that. So anyways, back on topic, I made this pitch. This, I think, sounds really cool to play the intro of that. And you know, it's like the whole thing would start. I kind of envision things from a pedalboard standpoint. It always relates to live. A pedalboard to me is not that valuable in the studio. This is a hot take. Oh, I'm going to set the internet on fire in the comments section. In the studio, if I want a great lead tone, I might just find the one pedal that I want, or the one or two pedals that I want, run it into the amp, and then do anything I want post, right? I don't need this stuff to do it. The reason that the pedal board exists is for a live application. Step on the thing and it changes all the things to do the thing that I can do live and perform the culmination of the parts, right? Because if you're going to mix a record, you're going to have your delays and reverbs on a bus and all of these kind of techniques where you're going to track the guitar dry. You're never going to run the guitar through all this stuff. So the pedal board to me exists from a live context. And with that said, that whole idea of using that crazy crystal pitch delay shatter effect, I don't know what else to call it, but like it's like a shatter kind of effect, like a vacuuming shattering thing. As to start with me on stage by myself, you know, you got the cowboy hat and the shades and the nice sport Manuel coats and stuff. Like I'm in my character, I'm in my zone, and I want the show arc. I'm thinking about the lights. You know, you got these things going. You got it's the whole package of performance live. And then for something fun, I built a flanger in here because a lot of times I'm playing the song Charisma, you know, by myself. If I can get to it and stand it up. That'd be like how I would kind of roll that thing, you know. That's easily the heaviest song on the record that has like classic, you know, very classic shred metal. But you can tell the voicing of the dirt pedals is glued together. It doesn't sound like so drastic when I go to a different dirt pedal. It's just a little flavor difference, just a little flavor difference. So next up is the lead patch, which is just the gearbox and the delay. So I think this is probably what, you know, most guys kind of are after. That's like the classic, you know, cape blowing in the wind, super dark. And I'd probably run it without the boost sometimes, you know, if I'd wanted that kind of sound, like on Shoot the Sun Down. One more time on that one. And then you can bring in that Klon side for just more and a tighter low end. You know, really great for the really super circus trick type of stuff. And then shred is exactly what you think it is. It's the Andy Timmons app pedal just completely goosed to the moon. To the moon, Alice. It's totally meant for like supreme over the top. All that stuff, right? Just completely over the top. But in general, most of the stuff I live in is around this. It's around that range right there, you know? Kind of like that. That sounds so good to me, you know? that sounds killer there. That's really more the tone I use for my stuff, that kind of lead tone, but then full-blown shred. I had a lick earlier today, was it? Yeah. Something like that. Kind of a fun one, right? Kind of outlining that pentatonic thing. It's like so over the top, right? I live on that crunch channel a lot too. So that's the layout of the board and kind of my approach to it. I guess the only thing I didn't demo really is how I use the reverb. And instead of it being a thing that's kind of always on, I kind of play into it like a. See how it's like so exaggerated? It's like really exaggerated. It's kind of nice though. Yeah, I think it sounds cool. But it's like, that's cooler to me than, like, because my ambience is back here. My delays never cloud up my playing, right? What is it? I forgot how that one goes, but I used to play it. Not bad, right? Let's check out the chat, see what's going on over here. Kind of make sure not to bash my head stock out of the way. All right. And again, this is like the biggest way to do things, but for me, this works and inspires me to play. And I think that's really what it all boils down to. When it's in stereo, man, that stuff, it's just, that's what matters, right? You know. Okay, here we go. Let's go back up to the top here. Check out some quotes, questions, comments. Good to see everybody, man. There's always some people that I look forward to seeing, man. Vice Hatchtrucci's always chiming in on a Tuesday. Good to see you. He's saying, is this the pedal board I had when I was on the pedal show? No, this is the bigger one. This one is too big to fly because in its case, it's 70 pounds, and that's overboard. The medium one is the one that went over there. So, yeah, let's hit some stuff here. I want one now. I'll watch you live from 10 feet away at Dallas Guitar Show, Blair. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was really, that Dallas Guitar Show gig was really fun. It was a good time. Chuck, reminder here for the free guitar. We're giving away a Suhr. Dario is giving away a Suhr. Chuck's got the link in the chat. Make sure to hit that link and get it. We can pin it as soon as the live stream's finished. That's what we're going to do. Looks like some folks are getting entered here, which is nice. Good to see everyone. Are you running digital or do you have an amp sitting? I've got an amp. It's a Suhr SL68. If you can see this whole wall that kind of goes all the way over here, it's all just my tube amps that I like, and they all go into a KHE switcher over here where I can just flip through them, and they work really well. Fort Worth, Texas says, there it is, the Reload 2. If I've heard nothing but great stuff on it. I have to say this, the Reload 2 impedance curve was worked on with Celestion. And you know who gave it such a glowing review? Pete Thorne. Pete told me, he goes, Andy, you're going to like this. I texted him after he did his video, and I was like, is it good? He's like, you're going to love it. He's like, you can now fly with the Reload 2 in a flight case and a little board and backline, say, a Lone Star and a couple of boogie cabinets. And now I have my full real tube amp stereo. It's mobile, you know what I mean? I can fly and do a clinic with it. Let's say I'm going to Guitar Sanctuary and Brian, my buddy over there, might have me a SL68 waiting on me with a couple of cabs. I just take the Reload 2 with me on the board and like boom, now we are stereo rocking in the free world. I think it's never been such a great time to be alive as a guitar player. Just think about what Reload 2 does. I think it's what, $1,300 ish. To do what it does, you used to have a rack full of stuff because it's 2 power amps. That means you got two whatever Class D power amps, or if you got to have something that colors the tone. That's the thing is, with the Reload 2, I like the fact that it doesn't color the tone because I want to hear the amp that I'm playing into it. I don't want any coloration. I don't want a tube section in the Reload 2 because that's going to color it. I don't want that. So to do what it's doing, gosh, you used to have just rack full of stuff. And now it's like, okay, just take this one thing. It's this big. Put it in a flight case. Off you go. Like a Pelican. If it's in a... You know the thing that I bought? It's a company called Vault. And a lot of firearms sport shooters use this company. You can find it at your local firearms store. So and the foam inside is modular. It fits right down in that, and it's got rollers on it. So it's really that's the thing. Mr. Bradstar says you're ampless. I am not ampless. The Fractal, to clarify, the Fractal VP4 is only effects. It is only an effects unit. It does not provide any amps whatsoever. Dustin, yeah, you guys chatting about the Fractal Axfex 3 and that stuff. Yeah. Robert Doughty says this setup gives him gear acquisition syndrome. Man, I feel like every time I go visit my boys at XTS, shout out to Greg, Barry, and Eric. They don't. It doesn't even feel like work when I go over there. It feels like I'm getting to hang out with my friends. I really like those guys a lot. I probably wear them out. I probably annoy the pants off of them. They're probably like, see the phone ring and they're like, God dang it, man, not Andy again. But like, I like to get up with them and go through everything and just get everything ready to go out and play and make the donuts. You know, get my mind into the right space to where I can be inspired to play. It's hard. Keeping inspiration is hard. It really is. You don't always have inspiration. So this working with those guys keeps me inspired to new things. Bradster says he can't hear the difference between mic placements. I promise you can. Move the mic and just record it in a session. You'll be like, holy crap. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds dialed in. Yeah, it's perfect. It is dialed in, man. So Fort Worth Texan says, I imagine the Reload 2 has an interface for your DAW. Why still use the aux? Sounds awesome, but when I buy my attenuator, my budget is limited. I'm not using the aux. I'm using a tiny little pedal that UA makes called the aux Stomp. It's just the software. You don't even have to use that. You can use a cheap $150 IR loader and do that. The reason I use the aux Stomp is it's a stereo pedal. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I'm now, once you hit the reload, you're splitting your signal, so you need either 2 IR loaders or 1 stereo, kind of thing. And here's the other thing with the Reload 2 that's not being mentioned. Let's say I've got a deluxe, like a little deluxe reverb over there. It's a ripper. It sounds so good. But they're oftentimes not loud enough to put up with a big drummer or a big Ampeg. I can run the deluxe into the Reload 2, and the Reload 2 can go louder. Like we could go 400 watts each side. We could throw flames. So I could use any amp that I want and have the volume on stage that's desired. Tubemeister says, Andy, how are the preparations for the All-Star Jam at Guitar Germany going? There's going to be a lot of phone calls this week. I'm going to hit up my friend Timmons, my friend and my mentor. And then I'm going to hit up my man Phil Sace. He's going to be on it. There's going to be Joey Landreth's going to be on it. It's going to be great. It's really going to be good. I'm just going to reach out to everybody, see what all they want to play. Bert says, Andy, this may be a little off topic. What's your stand on the tone knob? You have a darker tone. Just wondering if the tone knob on your guitar helps you get there. Right now, it's all the way up. But in general, everything is nothing is tattooed on when it comes to EQ and voicing, because you might be in a bright room, you might be in a dark room. And I got a little bit of slider there to play with. If it's too bright, I can bring it back. If it's too dark, every control on the guitar is valuable to me. Dustin says, interesting. I noticed the expression pedal. You wouldn't use it for volume. I want my own volume pedal. It's my own dedicated up and down pedal, right? I swear if I had equipment for good tone, I don't think I'd put the guitar down. You know what, Ghosted? A great tool for playing at home is like the FM3 or the FM9. And then you can grow into bigger rigs as your gigs get bigger. I think that's the other thing to know. You don't need all this if you're only playing in the studio. My whole setup is based around playing live. I want to play out in front of people. And I don't want to step on 4 different buttons to get this. I want to step on one button and it change everything. Fort Worth says, we're hearing the aux. What are you hearing in the studio? I'm just listening to my monitors. These are a couple of Mackies up here. I'm just listening to those. Tara says, am I playing Shallows because Lady Gaga recently played a Sir? I actually knew about that, that she's going to be playing a Sir, which is cool. I was going to say, sick Crocs, bro. Pete says, out of the Sirs I played with the pickup splitting and whatnot, the Alt T seems to be the best for nailing that Strat, Telly, humbucker tones. I think it's really great. My favorite is mine, but I mean, that shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. It's made for me. Like, this is what I like. All right, let's roll on down here. When are we going to get your tone in some Woodshed pedal stomp boxes? Your tone's always so moving. Man, I think really if someone wanted to assimilate my sound, I'll give you 4 pedals to buy. Buy a VP4. And I know that's cheating because it has multi-effects, okay? But buy the VP4 because it's got the halo setting in it. It's got all the courses. Buy a Wampler gearbox, a Woodshed compressor, and then one more medium-style overdrive, like a Bell. I like the Wampler Bell, or a Nobles or something like that, or a Pantheon. Like, there's your 4 right there. Get 4 of that. That's my thing. That's the whole thing right there. Oh, rolling on down here in the chat. Pantheon and Junktown are a super smart match. Thanks. That's my boys at XTS. We worked hard to kind of assimilate that and it not be my lead tone, right? Because it's its own thing. Session Gold, Andy, what do you think of Dan Huff's YouTube channel? Let me tell you all right now, Dan Huff is a king among mere mortals. Dan Huff is one of the greatest guitar players that's ever lived. He's going to be so humble. He's going to tell you he's not, and he will absolutely rip your throat out. He is one of the sassiest, bendiest, best playing, tone having. He's got everything. Dan Huff has everything. He just, it's so inspiring. Every time I hear him play, I just want to go play. And it inspires me to try to do a better job. He's just such a high bar of excellence. And I think, here's the thing I want to just exemplify. You know, last week we talked about trolls and people punching up and people getting into just going off on tangents. Look at it this way. You got a guy like Dan, who is one of the most decorated producers in music, in country music history. One of the most decorated session players in the industry ever, bar none. The dude played on freaking Michael Jackson records. You know what I mean? Dan doesn't have to do anything. By that, I mean, he could have slipped into retirement, go out on a boat every weekend and drive a Lamborghini. You know, it's like Dan doesn't have to do, it's done. Like, he is cemented. He is financially set. It's over. The fact that Dan Huff is such a giving and generous individual to genuinely want to take part in the guitar community and want to give free stuff. It's free. Like, you guys hang out on YouTube with you know, hanging out today. This costs you nothing, you know. It costs me time, but that's why I do things like Patreon to compensate, so I can prepare and do these types of shows and do the content on Instagram. And, you know, it's like I use other things to substitute that income and that revenue so I can pay my light bill, my internet bill, and pay, sorry, I just hit that, pay the guys at XTS. You know, it's like, that's another thing, is like, those are my bros, but like, I'm trying to get the board back in the shot. Those are my bros, but I don't expect them to just go work for free and build my boards and my junk for free. They did a great job on this board. I'm trying to get it here in the frame. There we go. It's a little nicer. But the point that I'm getting at as I'm rambling is that Dan doesn't have to do it. He hasn't had to do it for decades. He hasn't had to work for a long time. And the fact that he wants to work, and he wants to work in a field like YouTube where it's truly giving back and it's allowing people to see his studio, hear his tones, hear him play, just, it's that access. I think it's one of the most inspiring things from a guy of his caliber that I've seen in a long time. A lot of guys came up with the internet or started it. I started doing this stuff a lot during COVID, you know, when I wasn't touring. I never thought about doing this stuff because I'm a guy that plays live. But like, you know, Dan doesn't have to do it. I think it's just absolutely inspiring. It's just, the guy wants to give you guys stuff. He wants to, and I'm there watching every episode. Me and my friend Travis Toy. Travis is one of the best steel players, if not the best steel player on planet Earth. He's one of the greatest musicians on Earth, and I love him dearly. And we were hanging out the other night, and we were like, hey, let's watch that Dan Huff thing. So we kicked it on, watched the first episode. Like, man, part 2's on his channel. I think the first one was on Rob Baker's channel. Part 2 was on Dan's channel. It's like, oh, let's just go watch part. I mean, we sat there for 2 hours and just giggled when he would do one of those bendy, sassy things. It's just like, we're just like, God, nobody sounds like him, man. He just has his own sound. I think it's great. Sorry to get off. Session Gold got me revved up there. I get inspired when guys of a high caliber, a high profession with a nice resume, I get inspired when those guys want to give back. It makes me want to go play. It makes me want to improve my craft. It makes me want to write songs. It makes me want to live stream. It's like, it's just inspiring to me. I think that's really powerful. So yeah. Anthony says, we are shown the identity of value and value progression, note, relativity, hyper relativity. Yeah, I think it. Jeremy asked a good question. Do you handpick your guitars from Suhr? I'm sure they would let me if I wanted to. Oftentimes, I trust my artist guy at Suhr. I trust Justin and I trust John so much, and Kevin, that like anytime I've needed anything, they've just sent me one and it's been great. Like it's not that's I think that would be something I would do if I didn't work with a company that had such a high consistency, a high bar. Yeah. Here we go. Fausto says, I know you love amps and perhaps modelers second. I don't think it's first or second. It's just situation. When recording in the studio, which one do you typically record your guitar with? Amps or Fractal? I mean, you know what? It just depends. I like my amps for the chewy kind of thing. I like the Fractal if I've got to get that really modern metal thing. Modern metal guys love their modelers, and the Fractal kind of does that really well. But if I'm going to go for a really nice telly sound or some kind of lead sound, it's going to be one of the tube heads. It just does the thing. Now this diesel over here, that's a flamethrower. It'll do the modern thing. It'll rip your face off if you let it. So let's roll it on down. Matt says generous to spend time. Man, it's exactly what I was saying about Dan. Thank you for that. But that's kind of how I feel about Dan. You know, him giving back and doing that channel. Really killer. Don't wear Crocs without socks. The plastics leach into your feet. Is that true? This guy's name is True World, and I need to know that because I wear them without socks all the time. Now I have socks on today. I think that's valuable information right there. Get some Croc information. Croc rocking. The VP4 has some great sounds. I need to look at one and its editor. Look, I'll tell y'all right now, I'm an Eventide fanboy. I'm a Strymon fanboy. That VP4 smokes them. I love how quick the workflow is and how there's zero sacrifice on the tone. It's my favorite. The VP4 is my favorite product that's come out in a long time. Probably the next greatest product would be the Daniel Steinhardt gig rigs. That's the last time I was like, okay, that's with me forever. I have 3 VP4s. I have one on the big board, one on the medium board, and one on the baby board. The VP4 is a workhorse. If I don't have literally anything and I have a VP4 and a gearbox, I can limp through. If you give me one more pedal and I have a Woodshed compressor, a gearbox, and a VP4, I'm done. Like I can do whatever I want to do with that. And it's not big, you know, it's like that. I love it, dude. I really do. Did you get your fingers at Sweetwater? Yeah, you contact your Sweetwater sales engineer for some fingers. Oh, it's good. Tony P says, okay, this is a good one right here. Tony P says, ouch, the VP4 is $6. I'm assuming he's saying VP4 is $600. Look at it this way, Tony. Let me roll this by him. If you bought a Strymon Timeline at $440 and one other pedal, you're there. Think of it like that. If you bought a Cloudburst and a reverb, and you bought maybe a chorus and a flank, you're there. I think the VP4 shouldn't be looked at for how many dollar papers it is for one unit. It's 4 units. You can have 4 effects at the same time. And you honestly, it's got the dirt pedals in it. So one of the things I've been poking at Matt and Cliff, I want them to do the Woodshed compressor and the Wampler gearbox in the modeling side so I can have those sounds. VP4 is I'm telling you, I know 600's a lot, but it's price those Strymon delays, price those Strymon pedals, price an Eventide H90 or whatever, you know. Yeah, people are saying like a strip. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, thanks, True World. I need to know that stuff. I need to definitely not. I need to take care of my feet then. JK says he definitely sings your praises. Let me tell you guys this. The first time Dan Huff name dropped me, I almost fell out of my chair. I'm gonna be very honest, and you're not gonna believe me. But when guys like that I've looked up to my whole life, and I mean looked up to, there's a handful of them. Eric, Steve Morse, Petrucci, Brent, Dan. When my dudes have name dropped me in interviews, bro, I mean, I get the waterworks. It's like, it's just it's so unreal that, I've spent my life trying to steal and glean any kind of bit of knowledge that I could get from a Steve Lukather solo or a Andy Timmons moment or a Eric Johnson record. And outside of the things that I listen to glean from, I have to say this, that music is very emotional to me. Like, I genuinely can put on high tension wires, and it's like a time machine to me. It just takes me back to that moment in my crappy little Ford Escort GT when I was in high school, and I was just driving to school every morning, and I was like, God dang, this guy's incredible. How did he get so good? And same way with like the musicality. I remember when Resolution came out, Andy Timmons had been on my radar as a guy that I knew they could blow, like they could really blow, but I mean, he always had chops, right? Like, that's what I mean by blow. It's like he really had chops. But when Resolution came out, it like leveled me on a musicality standpoint. I no longer was listening to guitar licks and guitar stuff to learn guitar. I was listening to songs and music like I would approach the listening to the Beatles or something, or Zeppelin or something. Like, those songs are so good. And that's where Timmons has been such a big mentor to me, and why Charisma, I think, is my strongest outing, in my opinion. Everybody's got their favorites, but like, I think Charisma is an album of songs. It's not an album of guitar tricks. And that's something I'm kind of always putting at the top of my goals at this point in my life, is like, am I playing songs or am I just playing licks? We live in a world where everybody's got hot licks. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got chops, Red says, Andy, your technical chops are super inspired. I'd love to know your thoughts on Sean Lane. I'm a huge Guthrie fan like you, and he speaks highly of him. Sean Lane is a freak. He was an absolute freak. I remember seeing that, the one where he's playing the brownish, goldish Ibanez, and he was doing like great pianos flying. And it's just like, I was like, no, what else? Nothing else can be done after that. Like, even to this day, there's some freak show mutants, but I'm like, man, Sean was doing that in the freaking 80s, If you look at I'm talking about prices, better quality effects than an FM3 or FM9. Here's the thing, Jeremy. It's the better quality effects. The FM3 and the FM9 has the amps in it. So shredding Finn, I used to think Fractal is basically Ferrari pricing, but now it appears to be competing with everything. Look at it. You're not buying a thing that does one thing when you get a VP4. It genuinely can take all of your Strymon boards off your board. And I know that's not cool to say because I'm not trying to throw shade at Strymon. I've got Strymon right here. But it's what do you need it to do? Like, look, guys, if here's something that's important. If to you can do what you want to do and you're inspired by a $100 delay pedal. JHS is making those white pedals. They're like super competitive price. If you can do it with that, good. I think that's great. I would rather not know that difference. But once you get into that difference, I can't unhear it. And I'm in a position, this only applies to me, I guess, and this is a very selfish approach, but it is true. I'm in a position where if I don't have a good sound, the artist I may be working with, or the band leader I'm with, or the audience. Like now I'm the artist and the audience. I'm going to get a dirty look. Not on my watch. I want it to be the best that it can possibly be. So for me, I'm in the market to use the best tool that I can possibly have. There is no substitutions. It's the nature of my career. It's the nature of being on YouTube right now and streaming to you guys. I want the absolute best stuff that I can have so I can play Junktown, right? Like Junktown is not an easy song to play. And I want to be inspired when I play it. I want that to translate to every song that I play. And I want to be inspired when I play and hit the chords and it feels good. And like, I want guys to be like, man, it sounds great. You know, it's like, that's what I'm after. If you are not after that, I think there's stages of importance. If you only get to play a little bit once a week and you have no desire to do anything beyond just play for yourself, man, I think a Line 6 pod, just get that kidney bean pod for $100 on eBay and you're fine. Like, that'll play Crazy Train and it's much nicer than what I grew up. I was dirt broke growing up, guys. I had a PV Bandit, a blue Telecaster that's hanging on the wall over there, my first guitar, and I had a Boss Yellow Overdrive, whatever, SD1 or whatever, and a DD2 or whatever it was. It's like, that's what I had, and that was it. So I made it work, and I learned all my favorite players' stuff by making it work with what I had. Now, when you scale up from that, you get into like the idea that maybe you might want to go out and play once a month. Well, you're going to need a little pedal board and an amp or something. You know, you're going to need it to play out. And then it becomes what's valuable to you. Is it more valuable to have, you know, a lot of different things that are lower quality or just a couple of things that are super nice? What kind of music are you playing, right? Then it steps up from there. Like maybe I want to move somewhere, or maybe I'm going to start playing out a lot. I'm playing out 4 or 5 times a month. Like that's the way you got to weigh it around. But now look, I'm going to be real honest with you, and at least in my opinion, there's no danger of me becoming a Formula One driver in my lifetime. There is zero danger of that. But if I had the income to justify buying a Revuelto, like that's an $800,000 car, or a Daytona SP3, that's a $3 million car. If I had that kind of income, like Jerry Jones or something, right? Like I had that crazy level income, I wouldn't buy that car as a flex. I would buy that car because I want to drive it and I want to experience that. So if you are blessed in your career and you have the income, get the nice stuff. It's super fun. It's super worth it. And call XTS and have them build your board. It is 1,000% worth it. If you have the dough, get it. It is awesome. You know, and I think that's my perspective on it. I don't buy gear to flex. I have one Les Paul. It's right there. That's my one Les Paul. I have a $200 Les Paul copy that's over here that I leave in drop C or whatever from Metal Stuff. I've got 2 Strats. One is the orange classic that you guys see all the time. That's very vintage. And then one is the purple Huff. That's the LA Modern. That's it. That's my 2 Strats. Now I have more Andy Wood guitars because I'm Andy Wood. Like I get those than anything else. But I have one PRS over there. I have one 335. I have one baritone, one B-bender. If you notice, I don't have duplicates of everything because I'm not buying to collect, to flex. I'm buying things that allow me to do the job. I believe in the VP4 so much I have 3 of them, right? I have the baby one, the large one, and the middle one. And I think that's kind of my approach is like, I buy what I need that sounds good. I'm not buying to flex. I say that because if I had that crazy level income, I wouldn't buy 4 Daytona SP3s or 4 Enzos. I don't care about it like that. I would buy the one Ferrari that I wanted, you know, maybe the one vintage Ferrari that I wanted. I'm a car guy. I'd have a muscle car. I'd have, you know what I'm saying? Like I'd have I'd have one Porsche, you know, I'd have, maybe an old Cuda or something like that. Like I would have different doodads. You know what I mean? I'm not into what I'm not into is like the guys that have, just like music or cars, either one. It's like a guy that's got the Bugatti and the Zonda and all this. It's like, man, you can't even get that thing revved up like on a public road. I get that it's cool and maybe take it on the track or whatever. That'd be cool. But like, I'm into more of like the stuff that's engaging to me, like just the engage, like a tactile kind of engagement, That's how I feel about pedals. That's why I like pedals. They're tactile. I think that's one of the things that I like about pedals over a Fractal or a Kemper or whatever, any modeler. If I want less treble, I walk over to the amp and I turn the treble down. There's something cool about that. Something cool about reaching down and just being like, I want more or less of this. Right there it is. Boom. It's done. That to me is like guys that love to, I don't smoke, right? But guys that smoke, like Bonamassa smokes, like and smokes cigars, they have their trays and their cutters, and it's like a whole pageantry. I get that. I don't get it with cigars because I don't like cigars, but I get it with music gear and I get it with cars. I'm looking for a tactile engagement. Yeah. But I mean, again, everybody's got things in life that they like. Some guys love Rolexes and watches and get way into the watch thing. I don't even wear a watch. That's not really, some guys are way into sneakers, and I either wear boots, like cowboy boots, or I wear Chuck Taylors, like, or Crocs. I wear Crocs in the studio, but I don't think it's cool when people like poo-poo on other people's hobbies, right? Like, why would you spend that much on a watch? Like, I don't know, but why would you spend that much on a Les Paul? They probably say the same thing. You know what I mean? I don't think you ever have to worry about it in that aspect. But if you're a working musician, I think that's when your scope needs to narrow to the point of like, what do I need to accomplish the job? And for me, I'm not just a working musician. I'm a working musician in high profile environments. So it's got to be done right. And it's got to be, again, it's like, go to XTS, have them build it. It's worth it. Trust me, it is worth it. If that's the path you're on, that's the thing. But I guarantee you, if you called Barry over at XTS and said, man, I've got $2,000 and I got to build a sick pedal board, a sick rig, I guarantee you Barry's going to be like, you probably should start with a VP4 and then let's add stuff around it. I promise you, I think that's what he'd say. Just because it can do so much, right? Braxel is coming back with a great quote. He says, since you have the VP4 on the board, why do you also have the Halo? That's because I need 4 sounds out of the VP4. I want all 4 of them, right? I want a delay, so that's sound number 5. I don't want to chew up a sound. So for me, it's worth it to have the VP4 and as a substitute for flangers, pitch shifts, tremolos, rotaries, EQ filter, all of that kind of stuff. That's where a VP4 becomes that Swiss Army knife that I go, okay, I need the gag effect. I need the effect that's like, okay, this is the tremolo part. I need to go get that. I don't want to have a tremolo pedal. I don't want to have a flanger pedal. I don't want that thing. Genuinely, seriously, the only reason this Van Halen phaser is on my board is because I want to look down and see some Van Halen stripes. I'm just a fan and I want to be inspired. That pedal, I've had it since the day it came out, and I just want to have it as inspiration down there. I don't need it. The Halo and the Verbs are run as an opposite approach, where I want to use them for time-based stuff and let the VP4 be all this other tremolos and rotaries and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, James Norton's saying a Pod Go might cover it. Yeah, I'm a champion for an economic rig. I love that. Totally. Yeah, Fausto's saying I drove a mid-80s Porsche 20 years ago and it was so magic. You know the interesting thing about that? I agree. They're not the fastest things in the world, by no means in today's world. It's like your SUVs are faster than that now, but there's something so engaging, and you hear the sound, and you can rev the car because it's not. You can get the car in the range where it's just doing things, and it just feels special. I think that's it. Ultimate gag pedal is the Hatson Korg. It sounds ridiculous. It doesn't work that well, but it's hilarious. Yeah, I keep my funny pedals up here on the mantle. On the far left is the Fear Box, which was the limited edition Wampler gearbox we did last Halloween, which was Fear Box. And then next to it is the Steel Panther melter pedal. And then next to that is the Fart pedal that they make. And I just like to have those. They're just funny, Thoughts on the Neural Quad Cortex? Man, I think Jack Gardner makes Quad Cortex sound amazing. I just hadn't done it. It's like I'm happy over here in this ecosystem. Blair Lancaster says, do you give in-person lessons? Not really. I do them on Zoom. And the reason is because I'm touring a lot, and it's just in-person becomes too much logistics, whereas a Zoom call is like, all right, I got my computer, I do the lesson. So if anyone's interested in lessons, that's right now I'm kind of only booking it through Patreon. So if you want to take a one-on-one, patreon.com/AndyWoodMusic, it's the highest tier. In that tier, you get 1 30-minute lesson a month and 4 weekly Zoom masterclasses, group lessons. So it's the best offer that I have as far as that kind of thing. So yeah, that's patreon.com/AndyWoodMusic. And those slots are limited as my time is limited. So the kind of first come, first serve on that tier. But I think it's the best value that I offer for that kind of thing. David says the Woodshed comp turns the Twin into the fire-breathing funk machine. It does, man. I think the Woodshed comp is just MSG for your tone. Can you recommend a pedalboard-sized power amp to use with a modeler? I have a power station but want more portable. I think Seymour Duncan makes one. With that said, I just noticed it's 4:30. We've gone a little bit over. So I appreciate you guys. We're going to bail right there. A little housekeeping. Make sure to hit up that D'Addario link, D'Addario. Make sure you see D'Addario. D'Addario. You say it like that if you want. Make sure to hit that link. Get one of these guitars for free. Go sign up. Win a Suhr guitar. It's pretty awesome. I like it. I think you'll like it. And then if you're looking for channel support and you like what you see here and you got an extra $5 burning a hole in your pocket, go throw it in the tip bucket at patreon.com/AndyWoodMusic. That will get you access to all the videos and I mean 600-700 videos over there. They're just exclusive to that platform, and everything in between. And then there's lessons available on there too. If you want to come see us live and you want to see either me do the Andy Wood thing with my band, or if you want to come check out when I'm playing with Gary in that group, the Pseudo Flats kind of family. That's going to be at AndyWoodMusic.com in the events section. It'll tell you everything we got going on, all the different shows on the calendar, and what's coming up for the rest of the year. That's also where the store is. If you want to go pick up some swag, Chuck is uploading some brand new shirt designs that I'm stoked. One is a big guitar. It's like a big tube, like out of a guitar amp, and it's got my logo on it. Another one's just a guitar headstock. Another one's like a Marshall amp that says Charisma on it instead of Marshall. They're sick. One's got the chicken from Free Range Chicken. That's going to be at the store at AndyWoodMusic.com. I've told him, we've had some great calls. I've been like, hey, I want merch that looks awesome, that doesn't have my name real big and stupid on it, that just people would just wear because it's a good looking shirt. So those are going to be uploaded real soon on the store. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for another great Tuesday. We'll see you next week. It might be a little bit later because I'm flying back from San Antonio next Tuesday. I'm doing a gig out there next weekend. So with that said, follow the stuff. Follow the channels, the Instagram, YouTubes, all that good stuff. Be blessed. We'll see you guys soon.